Good afternoon, people. Welcome back to another episode of Aston Dave. I'm doing this from my car today as I haven't actually been home yet. I've kind of been all over the place since finishing work, so hence the bright orange top and doing it from the car. Right, first of all, congratulations to the women's football team. They won 2-1 at the weekend against Blackburn Rovers, and Melissa Johnson again on the score sheet. She is banging these goals in consistently and very well, may I add as well. The first goal at Villa Park for herself was centre of the box. It was a well-worked goal, actually. And to see the talent brewing on the pitch is brilliant. Also as well, 1,200 fan attendance, or just over 1,200 fans got there. Not bad. I think maybe, hopefully next time we can sort of draw more crowds in, the more that their profile becomes prominent. I mean, at the weekend, Chelsea played and they were drawing crowds of about 20,000 fans in, and that's massive. Bearing in mind, women's football's still not big. It's still not big enough in this country, and countries like America and Europe, where the game is, you know, quite prominent and very big in general. So hopefully this will start giving some positive light to the women's game in the UK, and hopefully we can, us as Aston Villa, can hopefully start driving the way forward for other women's teams to become, you know, more prominent as such. Also as well, Gemma Davies, the Villa women's head coach, Championship Manager of the Month, brilliant achievement for herself, and I think we must owe it to her because she is a Villa girl. She loves Aston Villa. She's always supported Aston Villa. I've listened to her interview as well pre-game, and what she wants to do for the team is brilliant, and what she wants to do for women's football is what you want to hear in a young Villa manager of any kind of any of the teams really. Also as well, we got to look at the under-18s. The under-18s is now being managed by George Boateng, one and only George Boateng. I didn't really know this, to be honest. I remember him being a scout the other year for Steve Bruce, but for him now doing the under-18s and listening to his interview is brilliant. What he wants to do for the under-18s is probably more than what most teams do for their youth. He said he wants the youth team to be developed and progressed, you know, through the ranks. I mean, look at Cameron Archer, for instance. He got into the first team against Crewe, and George Boateng, he spoke so well of what he wants to do for the Villa under-18s. He said, he speaks to the parents. He said, if you don't get through to the first team or don't get a football after this, at least we're going to make them a decent human being, and one that can respect society, and one that can go through and have a good career and good life in whatever they do. So we're not just developing young players, we're making them decent people. We're trying to make a decent world out there now. It sounds like George Boateng's got his head screwed on the right way. It's good to hear him speak so positively of the Villa youth and what he wants to do. He said it's not all about winning. It's all about the winning for him is getting them players into first team football. And for a coach to turn around and say that is a breath of fresh air, because a lot of coaches out there say it's all about the winning, or it's all about the taking part. That's bullshit. If you want to live in a world of it's only the taking part, then you're going to have a very, very sort of disheartened country. I mean, the politics in this country is kind of way to look at this as well. I mean, we've got a government that couldn't sort of tell its arse from its elbow. You've got a very undemocratic opposition, and yet Boris Johnson's leading the way to get Brexit done. But that's a completely different topic for a different conversation on a different coffee morning. I do get interested in politics, but in the way I'm using it now is you've got somebody leading the charge to get something done, and we can sort of take this in the form of George Boateng. He's leading the way for under-18s football at Villa Park and Aston Villa, and to hear him say that it wasn't like being away from Villa, it's good to hear as a Villa fan, because George Boateng, I think he was a brilliant player, I used to think he was ace. A lot of people may disagree, but this is why we have this little chat, to get our opinions across and get our voice heard. So I think what he wants to do with the team, I think is brilliant. And the fact that Mark Delaney is the under 23s as well, or under 21s, under 20 something at least, is brilliant, because we are bringing back Villa players that have been through the process. I mean, look at Jack Grealish, for instance. Jack Grealish, Cameron Archer as well, who's a recent recruit. And George Boateng was there with Gareth Barry and also Lee Hendry. So these players are such they're big names around Villa, Gareth Barry and Lee Hendry. And I met Lee Hendry once, and I thought he'd be tall. I thought he was shorter than what he was, and he's actually quite tall, taller than me, and I'm only 5'5". So, you know what I mean? I thought he was a nice bloke to talk to as well. But nevertheless, you've got to look at role models such as Jack Grealish and Tyrone Mings. Really, even though he's not Villa, you know, he come from a different background of the footballing world. But look where he is now: hard work, dedication, and basically just a solid wall at the back has given him the England call up. So going forward, I think our youth academy system is going really well. I mean, he's got a good relationship with the academy manager. I think he's not Mark Hamilton. Mark Hamill. That might be his name, or I could be getting confused with Luke Skywalker. I'm not quite sure. But he's come across from the Baggies. This was in my last video the other day, the new academy coach, academy manager, who wants to take the academy into a different, you know, kind of different direction, but a more positive way. And the fact that George Boateng and him are working together with Mark Delaney as well is a positive thing for us. Again, if you listen to the interview, it does go on about how his target is to get players into the first team. So it's not just winning leagues and winning games. He wants a future prospect for Aston Villa, even if it's a resale thing. And over his words, even on a resale basis, then I think we are on to something good. However, moving on, we have got the upcoming game against West Ham United, which is going to be a very interesting affair. I do speak quite highly of the West Ham team, purely because my girlfriend supports them, and if I say anything bad, she will beat me up, and she's a Londoner, and I don't want to get on the wrong side of her. But at the same time, she loves her team the same as I love my Villa, really. So it's going to be we are split on opinion. I look at it from an analytical part of it. I think their team is very good. In a whole, really, but I do believe that us at Villa have got a long journey ahead of us in the Premier League. We've got a young team, you know, at the minute. So I think what we need to think about here is survival this year. And I've said this from the start. It's all about survival and getting that kind of what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's trying to get that experience for this year under our belts. We've got a young team. So with Super Jack being its birthday today, happy birthday Jack Grealish. But I think at the same time, we need to kind of understand that we need to consistently be on the ball each week. We can't have lapses of concentration, because in this league you will get punished, especially against West Ham. So they've got a strong, I'd say they've got a strong midfield going forward, but the back line, as I said, their weaknesses before, I do believe, are Arthur Masiaku and Issa Diop. But again, at the same time, they can have a really bad game or a fucking superb game. I mean, Issa Diop in the cup game against Newport County was absolutely, it was all over the gaff. But if he's like that against the Villa, I can see Jota getting the best of him. I could see Jack getting the best of him. But we've got to be on the ball. We can't let Haller get that ball up top. We can't let him get the ball. We can't let Mark Noble dictate the play in the middle of the park. Even though the guy is about 700 years old, he can still dictate the game. So this is where we need our youth to really be on the ball. We need Captain Jack to sort of lead the guys. We need John McGinn to sort of keep pushing forward, put the pressure on Diop and Balbrena at the back. I'm just guessing they might not be playing for West Ham at that time. It could be a completely different lineup. Pellegrini might think this is an easy game. We might see this as a game that we could get 3 points at, and which I believe we can. If we attack, and keep the pressure on from the start, then we should get something from the game. Bearing in mind it's a Monday night game. I love Monday night games. Bearing in mind I've got to travel a considerable amount of way to get there, and I'm not going to get back home till about 1 AM. And I've got to drop 2 West Ham fans off as well, and one of them's coming back home with me. So either way, it's going to be a good road trip for me, either or. But I'm still not going to give you my score prediction. I'm still waiting to see how the week's news progress. I have got to tell you something funny I saw on Twitter in a minute, which might make some of you fans, it made me chuckle, it made me angry at the same time. But I'm kind of hoping to see what the news of the week brings us. I'm hoping Tyrone Mings gets on for England tonight. I'm kind of hoping he gets some game time. It kind of boosts his confidence, really. But hopefully we'll get something against West Ham. But I'm going to give you my score prediction on Friday, like I always do. But nevertheless, the funny thing I heard and saw on Twitter the other day was, no, not the other day, it was today, sorry. Stephen Ireland come around and said, I should have pulled out the Aston Villa transfer. Well, to be honest, Stephen, that would have done us a favour, because you didn't really do fuck all when you were there. All you did was whinge and moan. You didn't bring anything to the table. I was quite looking forward to you coming to Villa, actually, because I remember seeing you for Man City and I thought you was the bollocks. But you actually turned out to be another half-baked, failed aspiration. When I watched you play a few times, I never really rated you. I thought you could have done a lot more for the team, but you were too busy poncing about, really, taking the money. Another Micah Richards, really, just for the money. But again, these are my opinions. I'm sure you guys have got opinions. Again, another huge congratulations to the Aston Villa women's team. Keep up the good work. Gemma Davies is doing a brilliant job for the women's team. And also a lot of respect for George Boateng, Mark Delaney, and our new manager in the academy, Mark. I can't remember his last name. I'm not going to guess it because I'm probably going to get killed for it. But again, up the Villa till I die. If you haven't already, do subscribe, notify yourself for when I'm on. Do put comments below. If I don't get comments, I don't know what to talk about sometimes, apart from what I've just read in the news. But again, please do subscribe, comment, notify yourself. If you don't, then you might miss something. Other than that, peace, love, and I hope to see you guys at the Villa game against West Ham, or in just any kind of future Villa games in general. If you want to hook up before the game to have a little chat, then just drop me a message, drop me a comment, and I will try and meet you there. Okay, other than that, peace, out the Villa.